to do, and if there's a clearer timeline for him.
Romeo's just getting back, just getting his legs under him. John, he worked out. You saw on Monday, or I guess that's Monday, right? Yeah, he worked out the other day. And I walked back in the locker room after answering all your questions and asked him how he felt. And he said his legs felt like jelly, like he hadn't done anything for, the better part of 2+ weeks. You're not allowed to. And so he is still ramping up. And I, obviously won't play tonight. And then we'll see, if he will be cleared for Friday or not. But we're hopeful sooner rather than later.
Ryan Robb.
Hey, Brad. Jalen available tonight. What is any limitations on him? And was there something that came up, the hip situation in a recent game?
Yeah, I mean, he got hit there. He was sore. Nothing big, but obviously he had a lot. He's had a lot of burden all year, but so he was sore all over this past weekend. He almost didn't play the OKC game, and then we sat him on Monday, so he feels better after a day. I think it's kind of something you find, but we talked about it. Jason got the day in Memphis when he was feeling a little bit under the weather. It just made too much sense not to sit him. And then same thing with Jalen. As long as those guys are feeling anything and too sore, then right now we just have to be cognizant of that. It's crazy when you come off that stretch and you kind of take that breath like you're back at home, but you still play every other night. So you really are still in this like pretty intense stretch of games.
Mark Murphy.
Hey, Brad. Along the same lines as Romeo, is there any update on Tristan? And this far out with him, what is it going to be like trying to get him back into the lineup, considering how long he's been gone?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty similar, Mark. I mean, whenever he is allowed to get back on the court, and he's still a couple of days away from the testing that he has to all pass before he can even get on the court. So, I think it'll be a pretty similar timeline once he passes all the cardiac testing and everything else. And but we're going to be appropriately cautious with those guys, both from a physical perspective and just everything else. I mean, we've learned a lot that this is difficult, and I think that we'll just be conservative with it.
Brad Townsend.
Yeah, Porzingis didn't play when you guys were in Dallas last month. What's the most challenging aspect of having Porzingis and Doncic on the floor together?
I just think it's another superbly skilled player. Obviously 7'2", 7'3", whatever he is. The way that he shoots the ball, I just think in the range that he shoots it, it just feeds right into Doncic's strengths. And obviously, Doncic is the orchestrator. He's the one that gets people where they need to go. He's the one that organizes everything. He's the one that you have to prepare your whole plan around. And when you have guys like Porzingis that can shoot it the way he can with that kind of size, with that kind of length, it just makes it really difficult. He's a really good player. I think they have a lot of really good players, and they had a lot of guys that hurt us in the game there. Jalen Brunson was terrific. Hardaway was terrific, like kind of on down the list. And Richardson's always good and has always been good against us from his days Miami to Philly. So I think, we got our hands full tonight, and obviously adding Porzingis only adds to it.
Final question for Coach Matt Vautour.
Brad, you were talking about just all the steps that it takes for those guys to come back when they've been through COVID. Do you get the feeling that as your guys are all be eligible for the vaccine in Massachusetts in a couple of weeks, that can kind of lessen the risk, and that you won't have to worry about at least that part of the health questions for your guys?
Well, I think the biggest thing, I mean, obviously the NBA, it's something that we've talked about quite a bit. The NBA has lessened some of the restrictions around teams that have a high percentage of people that have gotten the vaccination. But, it's something I personally can't wait to do. I think, just generally looking forward to that opportunity. But that certainly will help. I mean, unfortunately, Matt, we've had several people that have had it, and whether it, all the way back to Smart's episode, a year ago. So, again, it's despite all of our attempts, despite all of our efforts, despite this mini bubble that we're living in, we still, are very susceptible to it. And it's just a great reminder of how brutal this is. And so I think about all of our players and how they're feeling first and foremost, and their own health before everything else. And then you do look forward to a day where, you can take the next step forward. The vaccine's a big part of that.
All right, we'll wrap it up right there. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.